Welcome to Discovering. It's hard to believe that the gun deer season is only a couple weeks away. Cody Cass is on the show tonight with some tips on how to sight in your rifle.
When we get into a shooting position, we want to be able to look through the scope and actually see the whole field of view.
And I talked to the DNR about this year's new mandatory deer reporting. So sit back and relax. It's Monday night and it's time for Discovering.
The secret streams that flow beneath the cliffs of colored stone. Forest thick and healthy with birch and pine and oak. Surrounded by the greatest lakes this world has ever known. The black bear's awesome presence as he roams the hills and fields. Call of the timber wolf, the loon's lonesome trill. The eagle soaring high above, the trout lies deep and still. These are what I treasure, the only way I measure feelings that I have for this fine land. There is so much to discover when you're a long-time lover of northern Michigan.
Today I'm here with Adam Ladd from the Negaunee Rod Gun Club. He's going to show us how to set up a rifle, but also zero in a rifle as well.
So generally we want to have the rifle in some kind of a rest or on bags or something so we can have it somewhat level and flat. They do make different products to help us make sure the rifle is level, but generally we'd start in a fashion like we have here. I already have this base mounted. This is a Picatinny base here, and then these would be the rings that would mount directly to the Picatinny base.
Okay.
All right, now we'd set the scope on top of the rings. Right now, again, I've made sure that we have an empty weapon, chamber's empty. I want to run the bolt forward here just so we can get fairly close to some alignment. And obviously, we would want to tighten these down, the rings to the base. But right now, for demonstration purposes, we're just looking at the approximate eye relief that we'd want on the scope. So generally, we've got it somewhat just finger tight right now, again, for demonstration purposes. Cody, if you'd like to get in there. And right now, we're going to check the eye relief. And again, the eye relief is the relationship between the scope, how close it is to your eye. When we get into a shooting position, we want to be able to look through the scope and actually see the whole field of view, opposed to just a small circle.
Yeah.
So if you want to get up there.
Yeah, I'm seeing, getting into like a natural shooting position, it's all black.
Okay.
Okay, it's looking better.
Okay, right now that's...
Yeah, that's pretty natural right there.
Okay.
I could tell it's crooked, but we're going to be going over that in a little bit, right?
Okay, yep.
Okay.
If the crosshairs are not straight, we need to make...
Yeah, that's a little bit back. All right. A little bit. I mean, we could do that all day until we get a level.
Okay. They do make specific levels for leveling a scope. Right now we don't have one here today, but again, we'd have to make sure the rifle is level first, and then we would want to level the scope. It could be, again, it could be with something as simple as this, but there are specific levels that fit on a scope and or the rifle to level both.
That's just a level that you'd have at home for doing this any sort of carpentry or whatever?
Yeah, it's just a small level. This particular one I think was sold as like a trailer application or something to level up a trailer if you have appliances and stuff that need the trailer level. We would then tighten the rings down, and we want to make sure we tighten all four down slowly so they tighten equally.
Kind of like cross pat, like a star pattern
Yep.
with your car tire.
Yep. We'd want to, since there is 4 on here, I would definitely star pattern it and tighten them down slowly. All right, so we have Cody on the bench here right now. This is a different rifle. We have a rifle here, a Savage Axis. It already has a pre-mounted scope, been aligned, tightened down, everything on the rifle here. We do have the bolt out on this one, and this is also chambered in 308, is what we'll be shooting today. The bolt is out. Just to quickly explain, if we had the opportunity to bore sight this, and bore sighting means you're actually looking down the bore of the rifle, and if we had this right on the target, you'd look down the bore of the rifle, so you can actually see the target through the barrel, and then you would look through your scope without touching the rifle, and you would adjust the scope so your crosshairs then go to the exact position of where the barrel is pointed. We have a target out at 25 yards. I like to put a very large piece of paper, cardboard out there so we're not wasting rounds, so we can see where we hit. Once we're ready, the line is hot. We're ready to fire. Safety's off. Fire when ready. All right, we'll eject that round. We'll keep the bolt back right now. Are you able to see where we hit?
Yeah, it's
About an inch high and about a half-inch right.
Yep.
All right, so pretty close.
Yeah.
So I would say we're really close on paper here at 25. Being that close, we can actually probably move back to the 100-yard target now.
Okay.
All right, so we're back now at 100 yards. We've got a camera set up downrange so we can record where we hit. We did not make any scope adjustments. We just fired one time at 25 yards. We were high and right. I'm suspecting the round is probably going to be continually going high and right more, but we can adjust it from here.
Okay.
But we don't want to just take one shot. We'll probably take 3 shots right here so we know where our group is. These rounds may not even fire well out of this rifle. We don't know. We only have these today.
Yep.
But we're at least going to see where these rounds hit. But we definitely want to fire a group first before we start moving the scope.
I appreciate you giving me some excuses with the ammo and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So we're good? Are we good?
We're good.
So, Cody, when you're doing this, we want to make sure and remind our viewers to be very slow on the trigger with their trigger finger. One of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of shooters make, especially new shooters, is when we put our finger on the trigger and we'll jerk really quickly, or we'll have our finger off the trigger and slap the trigger. My best advice for people is that place your finger on the trigger and it's a slow press. All right. We got that first round downrange. We have somebody else spotting for us. What did that look like, Maurice?
We are 12 o'clock high, about 9 inches.
All right, let's fire another round to make sure and verify.
All right, it's going right here.
Okay. Okay, second.
Yeah,
12 o'clock
it's
high, 1 inch to the right, still about 9 inches high.
yeah, it's
So you're dead on as far as
A windage left and right is good.
windage left and right is 1 inch to the right.
Okay. All right, so we just need to bring it down then. 9 inches.
About 9 inches, yeah.
All right. Well, here's a good time to talk about, Cody, is our scope adjustments. This one actually says right on it that 1 click represents 1/4 of an inch, and it actually says 100 yards.
okay.
Most scopes are generally 1 click represents 1/4 of an inch at 100 yards. We could also call it 1/4 of MOA, which sometimes we do see that in print. So if it's 1/4, it shows us where the up direction is. We want to go the opposite direction to go down.
Okay.
So I'm going to 1, 2, 3, 4. So I just went 1 inch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 inches.
So I shot the one shot after the adjustments. Now what do we do?
Well, we shot the one shot after adjustment. We're fairly close. We're within an inch. You know, that round, we could have been affected by the wind. The round itself just could have been more left. A lot of mistakes lots of shooters make, again, is they want to start adjusting that scope to get exactly precise. We need to fire at least 1, probably 2 more shots to make sure where our actual center of our group is before we do any other adjustments.
Okay.
So we'll fire those next 2 rounds.
After shooting the first shot with this rifle, I can feel the importance of having the eye relief and the scope set up for the shooter. Shooting offhand doesn't help matters much either.
Approximately what size is that group?
I would say within 2 inches,
All right.
coordinating all 3.
Yep. Cody, a 2-inch group, you know, with these style rounds, these are Winchester PowerPoint's been around a long time. They're a fairly inexpensive round. You know, 2 inches out of a rifle like this is fairly respectable, especially for you know, Michigan UP deer hunting where shots are generally 100 yards and less. I would definitely take that group if this was all the time we had before deer season, and I needed to get out to the deer blind. I would be really comfortable with how this rifle's shooting and how you're shooting right now. One thing that we may want to remind viewers is also that we need to make sure sometimes, and just make sure these are tight. Probably the biggest thing would just be these right here. If all of a sudden our rounds started moving around, we'd want to check this first.
Okay. Yeah.
But right now it's shooting well. You know, I would definitely go with what we have right now.
Being part of gun clubs, the networking part of it, I think that's something that's big, even outside of the instruction that you gave me today, is that networking. You know, hey, you know, I shoot 600 yards, or some people shoot pistol, or if I wanted to get into pistol shooting, there's always members that you can learn from, and you won't be able to get that without being part of a club, or at least being in a network of shooters.
Yeah, I would think it would be more difficult. You know, earlier today we had a young shooter come out with a brand new rifle that definitely benefited from a lot of instruction from some very experienced shooters out here that come to the club. The experience goes a long ways. Many times shooters are more than willing to allow you to look through their spotting scope or their optics, so you get a different view. Lots of times, you know, I've been asked to fire their rifles and stuff, so it's a real cool experience.
Yeah, and then you guys do different events like sight-in days, especially deer season coming up. So you have a few of those coming up?
Yep, correct. And I believe a lot of clubs across the UP do sight-in days, but I know right here at the Negaunee Rod Gun Club, sight-in days for this deer season 2022 is November 5th and 6th, and then it jumps to the weekend before deer season, which is going to be the 12th, the 13th, and then even the Monday before deer season, which is the 14th. Sight-in days, you come out here, you pay a small fee, but you have club members that are out here as range instructors, making sure that everything is safe. They're also giving tips, helping the public, because you don't have to be a member to do open sight-in days. They're helping the public stay safe, giving them tips, sometimes even shooting their rifle. You know, if somebody might have a disability or something, or having difficulty shooting their rifle, we can definitely help to make sure that rifle's on.
Yeah, so it's a lot less excuses when you come home empty-handed from deer season.
Well, it definitely is not the rifle's fault, hopefully, at that point.
Starting with the fall 2022 deer seasons, online harvest reporting is required for all hunters who successfully take a deer. I talked to Chad Stewart of the DNR Wildlife Division about the mandatory reporting system and why they went this route.
The harvest reporting has been something that's been on our radar for a while. We know a lot of other states have been doing it. We've been pretty satisfied with our way of estimating deer harvest for quite some time, which is a post-season harvest survey. It's submitted to a randomized set of hunters after every hunting season, And from that, we generate statistically relevant estimates based on harvest by season, deer management unit. But what we're seeing over time is that response rates for that survey have been declining. So in 2000, our response rate was over 75%. Last year, it was sort of around 33, 35%. And that's been a gradual decline over that 20-year period. So what that means is, while we can still generate an estimate, the confidence intervals around those estimates are a lot broader, which means our level of uncertainty with that estimate is greater. You know, our hope is to manage deer with the best available data and science that we have available to us. And given that those confidence intervals and that level of uncertainty has been increasing, we felt that the timing was right to move to this harvest reporting system. And we think it can get us better data and more importantly, faster data. And we hope that ultimately it leads to a better managed deer herd. There's two ways that your deer can be reported. So one is to go online, which is just simply www.mi.gov/DNR harvest report. Or you can download our new mobile app, which is Michigan DNR Hunt Fish, and it's available wherever you find apps on your mobile phone. So once you harvest your animal, you affix the harvest tag to the deer. You have 72 hours to report your harvest. If you're reporting it through the app, it's tied directly to your license, and you can just simply click on the license you want to submit your report on, and it starts asking you the questions. If you're going through the website, what you're going to have to do is enter your harvest tag number, like your kill tag number, and your date of birth, which is just a verification. And that takes you to a screen that just confirms that's who you are and what tag you're using. And then the questions are pretty straightforward. It's, you know, what season did you harvest the deer? What day of the season did you harvest the deer? What county or deer management unit did you harvest the deer in? The sex of the deer, the age of the deer, which is just simply fawn or adult. If it's a buck, how many antler points it has. We are asking hunters to try to drop a pin on a map to be relatively close to where they harvested the animal, at least to the best of their knowledge. That gives us a little bit more refined information on where the harvest is occurring. And then hunters will get one of a handful of randomized questions, which are anything like the effort that's applied. You know, how many days did you hunt before you harvested your deer? Is it public or private land? You know, stuff like that. If you don't have internet access, there are other options. One, you can call another hunter, a family friend. Maybe it's a little bit more familiar with, you know, internet usage and reporting, so that's an option. Additionally, our staff will be available at DNR offices, especially throughout the firearm season, to assist with reporting. So,
if you're in the UP and need help with the online reporting, call the Marquette office at 906-228-6561. Those who do not report a deer harvest within 72 hours do face steep fines or possible jail time. There have been discussions in Lansing to reduce this. A bill originally supported by the DNR to reduce the penalties was altered to eliminate the mandatory reporting altogether and recently vetoed by the governor.
We're taking an education over enforcement approach. We know this is a big change and a new change for everybody, and there's a learning curve associated with it. So our law enforcement officers will obviously be applying a lot of grace and letting people know that this is what is required to happen rather than something that you're going to be penalized for right away. That being said, the way that the law is written, it's considered a misdemeanor, and that's not something that either the DNR or the Natural Resources Commission has authority to, you know, change. So, you know, we are supportive of bills or legislation that decriminalizes that to a civil infraction. So we hope that that's something that can be addressed in the future, that penalty is reduced.
I'm sure the debate will continue on this matter, but until then, you do have to report your deer harvest this season. I love to see kids out hunting and enjoying the outdoors. On the November 21st show, I would love to feature our local youth and their successful hunts. Email me a photo to kristen@discovertheup.com along with the name and age, along with anything else you'd like to add about the deer hunt. Caden DeCramer sent me a photo of his first ever buck he took during the youth hunt this year, an awesome 8-point. Another great example sent to us by Carl Schunk is his granddaughter Lily, who was 13 last year when she shot this beautiful 7-point buck in Deerton. That's all for tonight, and I hope to see you right back here next week for Upper Michigan's very own Discovering.